Hello. Hi. Oh, hi, Anderson. Good to see you. Okay, well, can everyone unmute and turn your cameras on? Hi, Heather, are you there?
Yeah.
Thank you. You don't have to have your camera on for all of class, just, while we introduce ourselves, but if you'd prefer to have your camera off, that's totally okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know how many students we're waiting for, so we'll just get started, and if anybody else joins, we'll discuss with them. Okay, so our topics for the week, we're going to start with our review of numerical operations. So that's going to look like doing a little bit of work with order of operations, which raise your hand if you have if you have learned about order of operations before. Okay, well, then it'll be new for everyone. So today we're going to work with order of operations. And if we finish that up in time, we'll get started with some work on fractions and decimals. So because it looks like the two of you guys are different ages, different grade levels, if we have to sort of adjust to everyone's difficulty, that's okay. So before we begin, does everybody want to introduce themselves? So I can go first. I'm Lainey. I'll be the teacher for the week. A little bit about me, Anderson, you already know this, but I'm a college junior. I'm in school to become a teacher. I'll be an English teacher, but I also teach math classes on the side. But yeah, so that's about me. And what about you? Why don't you each introduce yourselves to the class?
Yep, I want to introduce.
Okay, you can go.
This is basically, firstly, I'm way more smarter than I might look. I'm just some 7-year-old who finished first grade and is now taking a break and is now going waiting for second grade. But reality, my English is second grade but my science is about the 6th grade.
Well, that's very good. And what about you? What about your sister? Why don't you introduce yourself?
You introduce yourself.
I'm going to middle school in a month, and I turned 11 on July 3rd, 2 days ago, and my name's Angelina.
Okay. And finally, Heather.
Okay, I'm Heather, and I'm going into 7th grade, in September.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do, everyone's going to pick a color for today. When I write you guys your own problems, you'll get your problems in your color. So let's say, for example, Anderson, if you had red, if I write a red problem on the screen, that's for Anderson to answer. So everybody pick a color. Tell me what color you want your questions in. So Anderson, what color do you want?
I'm going to choose red because that's my favorite color.
That's your color? That's your favorite color? Okay. So questions written in red are for Anderson. Okay, what about you, Angelina?
Oh,
Right.
Blue.
Blue. And what about you, Heather?
Green.
So everybody copy down your color so that we don't get confused. I'll copy that down too. So we're going to have problems for everyone. Like if there's not in a specific color, that's for everybody to solve. But if you have a question in your color, that's exactly for you to solve. That way, we don't have to, take turns answering questions. Everyone can always be working on something. So our first topic of the day is going to be order of operations. So let me pull up our work. It'll take a second to load. And just in advance, make sure none of our problems today, we're not going to use a calculator for. If there's an exception to that, I'll let you know, but don't use a calculator unless you're told to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. So first we're going to go through with some notes. Make sure you have a notebook or a binder to keep all of your notes for the week together in. And yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to share the screen.
Screen.
Can you see the screen?
Probably the first time I've done Zoom with someone else.
Yeah, usually this is one of the first times that I've taught for math, like a couple of kids at once. Usually my classes are just one student, so this is a first for me too. Okay, well, can everybody see the screen? Yes or no?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so the order of operation tells us how to do a math problem when more than one operation in the correct order. So a really easy way to remember the order that we would take is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That kind of sounds like nonsense now, but I'll explain how that helps us remember in a second. So whenever we solve a problem, we're first going to solve the steps in the parentheses. Then we'll move on to solving exponents. Then we will either multiply or divide, whatever comes first. And then finally, we'll either add or subtract. So copy that down. Copy down the phrase at the top to help you remember it and what each of the letters stands for, okay?
Okay, so just writing it down.
Yeah, and everybody can let me know when you're done copying it and we'll move on.
I'm done writing the parentheses.
Everyone take your time. We don't have to rush. We have a lot of time today.
I'm done writing it down too.
Okay, so Heather, while they're finishing up, do you remember every step of this? Like, do you know how to solve exponents?
I think so.
Think so? Okay, we can do a little exponent review if we need to. In fact, that's what we'll do as we go through the steps of this. But let's just wait for the other two. So while they're copying that down, you and I can work together on an exponent problem. So let's solve this, for example, 4 to the third. All that tells us is that we would multiply 4 3 times. So 4 times 4 times 4. So what would that be? How would you simplify that?
4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times 4 is 64.
Exactly. So yeah, that's all an exponent is. The number at the bottom is called the base. The base is what is multiplied. The number at the top is the exponent that tells us how many times it's multiplied. So Angelina, while you're waiting for your brother, why don't you try to solve this? Why don't you try to solve 3 to the third power? So basically, that means you're going to write 3 times itself 3 times. Does that make sense? Okay, so Angelina, why don't you solve?
9.
Well, not quite. So 3 times itself 3 times is 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. Let's try another one. What about 2 to the third power? So we have our base of 2, and we do that times itself 3 times. 2, 2, and 2. What's 2 times 2? What is 2 times 2?
4.
And then what's 4 times 2?
8.
So that would be 8. So the exponent tells us how many times we are multiplying. So to go back to 4 to the third, that tells us we're doing 4 times 4 times 4. How many times did we write 4 down? 3 times. That's why it's the exponent of 3. Does that make sense? Okay. So why don't I know Heather, you already solved that, but Angelina and Anderson, why don't you solve that? 4 to the third. Simplify that, okay?
By the way, I never knew what simplify means until I searched it up. I found out
Search it
just
up?
meant to sim.
So
make
to
it
do you
simpler.
want Anderson, do you want to try to define simplify for the class? Do you want to tell us what it means?
So simple. So what I found out is that simplify actually just means to make something simpler.
Yeah, so to simplify means to make sure all of the multiplying and dividing or whatever else is done to get it in its simplest, most easy to understand form. So instead of writing out 4 times 4 times 4, well, we multiply it and write out the answer, so just one number. So what did you guys get when you multiplied 4 times 4 times 4?
64.
64, very good job.
I don't know how to multiply by 3 digits, you know.
Well, in that case, Anderson, before we move on, you and I will work through just one more together. So if we had, for example, how about 2 to the third? So you would write down 2 times 2 times 2. Does that make sense? That's how we solve that exponent. Does that first step make sense?
Yes.
So from there, I would just go left to right. So you multiply 2 times 2 and you get 4. Bring this down. Now you do 4 times 2. What's 4 times 2?
8.
8. So that's your answer. You just work left to right. That's the whole point of order of operations. You go from left to right. So you can do 2 times 2 first. You get your answer of 4, and then you can multiply that by the last 2 at the end. It's just like when we add multiple times, all you have to do is just add in the order that you see it, okay? Okay. Does everyone feel ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay,
Just
good.
figured out that. Also, by the way, just figured out that 2 by the power of 3 equals 8.
Good job. Perfect. Okay. So our first step in the parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract is parentheses. So you always solve whatever is in parentheses first. So for example, if we had, let's say we had something like 2 plus 2 times 4. Our first step is to simplify in these parentheses. We don't do anything until all the parentheses are simplified. So what that would look like would be to rewrite, well, what's 2 plus 2? Does anybody? 4. Good. So rewrite that as 4 times 4. And then from there, you can solve it like normal. Right, 16.
If I make up my own.
Yeah, you can make up your own. Make up your own, and then why doesn't everybody write their own problem where there's parentheses involved, and the other students can solve them, okay? It can be as hard or as easy as you want to make it. And does everybody, yes, what were you saying, Anderson?
By the way, if you don't know, I've also been learning division, and I definitely know you from English.
What are you saying?
Anderson knows you from English class.
Well,
Also, I know how to do division.
Anderson, I'm your math class teacher. I'm not your English class teacher.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, you're totally okay.
But you said English teacher when you So that you
Well,
are.
yeah, I do
Yeah.
both. You're right. Thank you for noticing that. I teach both math and English classes, but I am your math teacher. Okay, whenever you're done writing your problem, just, I guess, raise your hand, or if you know how to write on the screen, y'all can write them on the screen, okay?
I'm done.
Okay. So, Angelina, do you know how to write your problems on the screen or no? Do you know how to annotate or no?
No.
No? Okay. 1 second, let me go back to the slide that we were on. Okay, so Angelina, why don't you just tell me what your problem was and I'll write it on the screen for the other two to solve.
4 times 3 minus parentheses 7 plus 2 parentheses. 7
Oh.
plus 2 is in parentheses.
So Angelina, would you rather teach the class how to solve that, or do you want to let them try first? It's up to you.
I'll let them try first.
Okay, so based off of our order of operations, why don't the two of you try to solve this?
你有学过这个吗？你还没有是吧？
啊，
你还没学这个是吧？
Already.
I have the answer.
What's the answer?
3.
Very good. So Heather, why don't you explain to the class how you solved that?
I did 7 plus 2 is 9, and then 4 times 3 is 12, and then minus 9 is 3.
Good job. So Anderson, let's notice how I think it's really helpful when you're first learning these to write down every single step of the way. So first we do 7 plus 2 and we would get 9. So we write down, now it's 4 times 3 minus 9. And from there, you would just do 4 times 3 is 12 and then take away 9. So good job and good explanation, Heather. Okay, so Anderson, why don't you look at the steps that I wrote on the screen, and if anything doesn't make sense to you, let me know and I can explain again, okay? Okay. And then after that, we'll move on.
So, what I've learned is that some okay, 7 2, that's okay. Also 4 times 3, that's 12.
Mhm.
And I guess you add
Minus 9.
Well, so what's 12 minus 9? Because look, it was 4 times 3 minus those parentheses.
Oh,
So
okay.
Okay. And like I said, it might be a bit confusing at first, but that's why we're just going to go through a lot of examples until we, understand the order. Okay.
What I'm seeing here is just a tournament. Look.
Yeah, I mean, you could think of it that way, sort of like the order of who goes first.
Sort of like a stickman tournament, except it's not stickman's, but math.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. It's like if you have an order of who fights at a tournament, you go first, and they go first, and then it goes down to the last two. That's a good way to think about it. Good job. Okay, I'm going to clear the screen, and we're going to go on to the next slide. So after parentheses, don't know why it won't go forward. You always go to exponents. So after we simplify in our parentheses, our next step is to look and see if there's any exponents to simplify. So let's do an example with that. So let's say if we had 2 plus 4 to the third minus 1. So our first step would be to simplify in those parentheses. And everybody, let's pay close attention to the screen. Anderson, you can take notes after. Let's just watch the example first. So first, you always do your parentheses first, because first is for parenthesis. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So we have 6 to the third power, and bring down every step. So 6 to the third power minus 1. Now we do 6 to the third power. Anderson, like you said, that's the second step of your tournament. So that means we're basically doing 6 times 6 times 6, which would be 36 times 6 is, I have to multiply that out. Let me write that down.
6 times 3?
No, 6 times 36. 6 times 36 would be 216. So 200, I'm sorry about that. Anderson, like I said, even though I'm your teacher, not a calculator, so I still have to write stuff out sometimes. But anyway, 216, now we have our last step, which is minus 1. 216 minus 1 is 215. So that's your last step. So to review, first we did our parentheses, then we did our exponents, and then there was no multiplication or division, so we went right on to subtracting. Does everyone understand the steps that I took just then? Yes? And yeah, that's why I said, that's why we need paper and pencil for when we're doing big multiplication, like 8 times 36. You might want to write that down sometimes, so we can do it quickly, not have to think it out. So that's that example. Let's go on. So after we do our exponents, after that, you either multiply or divide, whatever comes first. Sometimes you're not going to have any multiplication, so you might have to divide first. Sometimes you'll multiply first. So you do that from left to right, just like when we're reading a book and we go from left to right. So for example, if you had 18 divided by 6 times 2, you go from left to right. So you don't multiply first, you just do 18 divided by 6, which would be 3. Now you do the times 2 part and you get 6. Does it make sense? So it's not strictly multiply before you divide, it's after the exponents, you're either going to multiply or divide, whichever comes first. Okay? Okay. So let's try an example of that. Let's do, how about 14 minus 7 times 3, and then divided by 7. So first do your parentheses, and then multiply and divide from left to right.
I got 3.
Good. Even though we already have the answer from Angelina, let's all still try to solve through that. And if you get a different answer, let me know and we can explain it. And Angelina, since you got that one right after everybody solves the problem, do you want to explain your steps to the class after they've tried it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I finished the problem.
Okay, and what answer did you get, Heather?
14.
Let's try that together. So, Anderson, are you almost done?
Oh, wait, I see. Okay, I subtract.
Well, I don't think I have enough space.
Okay, in that case, here, Angelina, why don't you give your brother some more paper? Anderson, let's take a pause from solving and watch your sister explain. Angelina, why don't you explain your step to the class? And also, good job, Heather, noticing your own mistake. Good job with that.
So first you do 14 minus 7, which is 7, and then times 3. And then 7 times 3 is 21. Then you do 21 divided by 7 and you get 3.
Good job. Now, like I said, you don't have to write every step down. I'm just going to write every step so that you guys can understand it. But yeah, Anderson, the way you explained that was actually super helpful. Just think of it sort of like he said, like a tournament. Like first our parentheses goes against each other, then whoever wins that goes on. Then our multiplication goes against each other. Whoever wins that moves on. I'd actually never thought of explaining it that way. That's super helpful. So, and good job, Angelina, with your explanation. Now we'll move on to our last step, which is, we've already done this in a couple problems, but the last step is to just add and subtract. And again, you do that from left to right. You don't necessarily have to add before you subtract. You just do whatever comes first. So that would look something like this. Like if we had 21 minus 13 plus 4. You don't have to add before you subtract. You just go from left to right. So you would do 21 minus 13, and you would just get 8 plus 4 would give you 12. So I'm going to write you all a problem in your own problem color. Angelina and Anderson, is everything okay? Okay, I just didn't know because I saw y'all talking to one another. I just wanted to make sure. So Anderson, here's your problem in red. And again, I know, Anderson, you said that you don't know how to do like 3 steps. Just take it 1 step at a time, okay? Angelina, here's your problem. And finally, Heather, here is your problem. And everybody, when you do your answer, send your answer in the chat, okay? So that everyone can work at their own pace. Angelina, I don't know if Anderson knows how to use the chat, so just can you type up both of your problems, both of your answers for him, his and yours? Okay, thank you. Good job, Heather. You got your answer correct.
I just figured out that the 14 plus 14, okay. You just do 7 times 4.
Yeah, those are the same. 14 plus 14 is the same as 7 times 4. Good.
Okay. 7.
Okay, Anderson, did you get your answer or no?
Yeah, he did. He got 28.
Okay, let's move on to, oh, I accidentally stopped the screen sharing. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, so now we're gonna try some problems. So I'm gonna pull up the packet that we're gonna use for the rest of, basically the rest of the day. But first, here's just one longer practice problem to copy down. So here, like I said, this does like the way that I've showed y'all, where you copy down every step of the way, all the way till you get till the last step. So if you want to copy down a practice problem, feel free to. If you already feel pretty confident, you don't have to, but I'll just show y'all a couple of practice problems and copy if you want to. But yeah, so there's an example. We first do our parentheses and we get 10. Now we go to our exponents and we would get 8 because 2 to the third is 8. And now we subtract and add from left to right. So 3 plus 8 gives us 11. 11 minus 10 gives us 1. So again, like Anderson said, it's sort of like a tournament going all the way down to the last battle. But that's that. Does everyone feel confident enough to do some independent practice problems? Okay. And while I'm filling up your work, can everyone sort of rate from 1 to 5 how they feel about fractions? I know, Anderson, you don't really have any familiarity with fractions, so we will do a bit of a review. But what about you, Heather and Angelina? Do you feel pretty confident with fractions?
Yeah,
You
probably
do?
like 5-ish.
Like a 5? Good. What about you, Angelina?
Oh, 4.
4? Okay. So, Anderson, since you don't know fractions yet, your problems aren't going to have fractions yet. We're going to learn that in our class together. But Angelina and Heather.
I learned how to multiply fractions.
Okay, then we can do a little bit of work with
on the
multiplying
website.
fractions. Very cool. But
I
so,
know how to add and subtract them.
yeah, so Angelina and Heather, you guys will have some problems that do involve adding and subtracting fractions. But for now, Anderson, you'll only have ones that involve multiplying them, okay? That's why I give everybody their own class color, just so that everyone can kind of do their own thing. If you're at your level, we can work to your level. I'm going to share the screen. Yeah, everybody just, let's not shout out answers because we want to give everyone a chance. You're all going to do these for now, but later I'll circle different answers for different people in your class color. But for now, just type your answer in the chat. Angelina and Anderson, try to not share answers. But yeah, just privately send your answers in the chat and I'll tell you if they're right or if they're wrong, okay? Okay, but this is our first little quiz. Oh, and because it's a quiz, I'd like you guys to like maybe solve 2 at a time before you send your answers, just so that we can try to do them as efficiently as possible, okay? Oh, and one other thing, while you're going through your quiz, if you have a problem that's like especially easy for you, put a star next to it and you can teach it to the class. Because I always say, like, if you can teach a topic, that shows that you truly understand it. So everybody pick at least one topic, one class that you want to teach to. Okay. Yes, Anderson? Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Yeah, yes, I'm stuck at some point.
Okay, which question is it?
Basically, because of this PEMDAS thing,
PEMDAS.
thing,
Mhm.
I just figured out that there's no step 2.
Okay, well, 1 second. Good
Basically,
job.
I use bubbles to represent the first one, and and then add a line to it, and then a circle, another circle, and then draw and then write a number inside there to represent what it is. And I found out on the fuzzy questions there's no step 2, so you just get to step 3.
Well, let's pause for a second. Yeah, there are no exponents here. So if there's no exponents, we don't have to follow that step. And we can even write that out. So P, E, M, D, A, S. So think of it this way. Multiplication and division, they're kind of grouped. It's just whichever comes first, same with addition and subtraction. But yeah, if it's kind of like if your mom and dad tell you, do your math homework, then do your English homework, then do your science homework. If you don't have any English homework, well, you go straight from math to science, right? If there's no step to do that involved exponents, we don't have to do exponents. So yeah, but let's wait for Angelina to send her answer, and then you and I can work through number 1, okay? Okay. But yeah, Heather, you got that first one right, so wonderful job. Let's see, did you send the second one? Good, you can move on, Heather, to number 3, okay? And good job, Angelina. Okay, so Anderson, let's work through this first one together, okay? So if we have 13 plus 19, that's our first step. What's 13 plus 19? Okay.
3 plus 9, but 3 is not enough. Take a 10 from that 1, you got 0. You also got 13.
I'm confused. What are you looking at? Are you looking at number 1 or are you looking at number 2? So Anderson, that's why I said let's work through number 1 together, because it seems like you got confused. So first, we're going to do our parentheses, each of them. So what's 13 plus 19?
13 plus 19 is
And good job, Angelina, with number 2. You can move on to number 3 as well.
yeah, right, 10.
And both of y'all,
And
once you finish 3, go straight to 6.
Right, and I got to the point where that 1 is now 0 and 13, and that 3 and 13 is now 13.
Okay, let's just solve the problem together. So we're doing 13 plus 19. What do we get when we add? Because we're adding 13 plus 19. What is that? Just write the steps out.
First, we do 10 plus 9, then we put it up by 2 more, or like 3 more.
13 plus 19. What's 3 plus 9?
Oh yeah, right, we're not doing subtraction, god damn it.
Yep. It's okay. It's totally okay. Class is where we're supposed to make mistakes. It's fine. Making mistakes is how we learn. So if we add them up, just let me know when you get with that. And like
3 plus 9, 9. Wait, 9, just swap them. It's easier to do it by
you can do it. Anderson, you can solve it.
By less than less by more in addition.
You can solve it any way you like. Totally okay. I really don't care. As long as you get the answer right, I don't really care how you solve it.
Now, for number 6, in the problem 3 plus 7, it has a negative.
Yes. Do you remember negative numbers or not really?
I don't think I.
Okay. You don't think you learned them? That's okay. For now, I'd like you to skip on to number 7. Is that okay, Angelina?
Okay.
By the way,
You're done? Okay, what did you get for that, Anderson? What did you get for number 1? First, well, what did you get for 13 plus 9? 19. I need you to unmute.
Unmute.
I got 32.
It's good. So 13 plus 19 is 32. So now from there, we're going to do 32 divided by 9 minus 5 is 4. So what's 32 divided by 4?
Oh yeah,
32 divided by 4.
32 divided by what? Oh yeah, right. I forgot about the 9 minus 5.
So remember, our steps are always going to be solve everything in parentheses and then
Okay.
multiply or divide. And by the way, Angelina and Heather, very good job so far. You've both gotten everything perfect so far. So good job. Okay. Good job, Heather. Good job with the number 6. So Heather, you feel pretty comfortable with negative numbers, you would say?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good. Like I said, we're going to do a bit of a review of negatives just because I've noticed that a lot of times teachers teach it with all of these like memorization tricks. I don't think memorization is that helpful. So I'll teach you guys kind of a way of solving it with the number line so that it's a little bit easier. But we'll do a little brief review. Not as much for you, Heather, because you seem to understand it. But let's see, Angelina. Good job. Perfect. You can go on to number 8. Anderson, did you finish solving number 1 yet?
He didn't finish.
It's okay. Take your time. It's totally okay. That's why we all have our own problems so that we can solve at our own pace.
Finally.
Okay, what'd you get?
4 divided 32 divided by 4 is 8.
8. Very good job. So to recap, we solved our problems in parentheses, and then we worked down to division. Okay. Anderson, when you do number 2, can you kind of talk me through the steps that you're taking so that I can correct you if you do anything wrong?
Okay.
I'd like you to kind of talk me through number 2, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely know how to do three digits. Just do it 1 by 1.
1 by 1. Very good. Like I said before, it's just like if you have a list of homework to do, you do it in order. And the other 2 of you, Angelina and Heather, how are you guys doing? You feel okay about the problems we're doing?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
And good job to everyone. And after Anderson and I are done with number 2, Angelina, I'm going to have you teach the class number 7, and Heather, you can teach the class number 3, okay? So while Anderson and I are working on 2, look through your work and see how you're going to explain, okay? Okay. And Angelina, good job on number 8. You girls are both really good with exponents, so that's really great because like exponents are so important for all of pre-algebra. They kind of never go away. So great job with that. Oh, and also one more question. So I didn't know if you guys were going to be open to having homework for camp. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that that would be helpful, or do you think that would be too much?
I think it'd be kind of helpful, but I don't.
Helpful? It won't be a lot by any means. Like, I know that y'all are on your summer break. I by no means would want homework on summer break. It won't be like a long amount of work, but maybe just like what I was thinking was whatever the topic is going to be for the next day, I might give you guys like 3 or 4 problems on so that I know going in what you know and what you don't know. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what I'm gonna do is have my boss send you guys, just everybody will have their own 3 problems to kind of test where y'all are at going in, okay? Okay. Because I understand that it's definitely not fun to have like homework and classes during the summer, just one or the other. So, and good job, Heather. Yeah, so the 2 of y'all are pretty much done. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and write you guys your own problems because we want to try to have 10 problems done by the end of class. So you'll each get your own 2 problems. Heather, you'll have some negatives. Angelina, you won't have negatives just yet because we're going to review that. But yeah, Heather, while we're waiting for Anderson to solve number 2, why don't you go ahead and explain your problem to the class? I think I assigned you, was it number 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you explain number 3? And Angelina, let's have you pay close attention to her because this one has a negative, so I think this could be useful for you. So there you go, Angelina, or there you go, Heather.
Okay, so 3 minus 8 is negative 5. I don't really know how to explain, like, how to
So,
get.
if you want, I can explain that part for you since you kind of feel like it's tough to explain, then you can tell me if this is how you solve it or if you have another way. So how I sort of picture it, all subtraction is going left on the number line. So we have our number line, we start at 0 and all the way up, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But it's symmetrical. It goes in the opposite direction too. You can kind of think of it like you're at the ground, you climb up, it's positive numbers, you climb down is negative numbers. So it's symmetrical. And you would have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and so on and so forth, all the way on to infinity in either direction. So we start at 3. That's our starting point. We're subtracting 8. So that means we're going 8 to the left. Angelina, does it make sense how subtraction is going to the left? It's getting smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think to yourself, we're skipping to the left 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 counts to the left. We end up at negative 5. Does that make sense? Yeah. Another way to think of it is to sort of count backwards in your head. If you're at 3, positive 3, and we go 8 to the left, well, first we take away those 3 and get to 0. We have 5 more left to subtract, so we'd end up at negative 5. So that's one way of solving. Yeah, Angelina, don't worry too much about that for now, because you and I, while everyone's doing their independent work, will study that kind of one-on-one, okay? But yeah, Heather, do you want to explain from there?
Okay. And then I do 3 times 13, and that's 39. And then 39 times negative 5 is negative 195.
Good job. Good job with your explanation, Heather. Yeah, so Angelina, do you want to go ahead and explain yours?
What number was I going to explain again?
I think I said number 7. Is that okay for you?
Yep. So for number 7, you solve 34 minus 4 first, and that's 30. And then
Good.
3 divided by 3 is 10. So you add 10 with 3. 3, how do you say it? The
3
exponent.
squared, or 3 to the 2.
3 to the 2. First, you do 3 to the 2. So you do 3 times 3, that's 9. So then you add 10 and 9, and then you get 19.
Good job, perfect. Okay, Anderson, did you finish number 2 yet? Yes or no?
I think I ran into a problem. Basically, I divided
Can you walk me through your steps, please, from start to finish?
So first, you plus 14 plus 23. So I basically I'm doing a stack up of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, what did you get for 14 plus 23? That's what I'm asking. What did you get for
Basically,
14?
what I did is just swap the numbers so that it's easier. Then I got 37.
And then what's next?
Then you minus it by 5.
And what do you get?
So yeah.
Well, what's 37 divided by 5? I mean, sorry, what's 37 minus 5? My bad. What do you get there?
So yeah. 37 minus 5. 2.
Oh, and Heather and Angelina, while he's solving that, I'm writing your guys' individual problems. So blue for Angelina, green for Heather.
Okay. Okay, 3. All right, 3 minus 0. Okay, that's 3. Now you got 32. Then you divide.
Yes, so we do 32 divided by 4. What would you get for that?
Okay, I'm going to put this at the top.
Okay.
32 divided by 4. How much can 4 go into 3? 0 times. How much can 4 go into 32? 8 times.
Very good job. So what's your answer?
So basically, I'm just going to do all the division steps. Yep, my answer is 8.
Very good job. Okay, now your next one, Anderson, I want you to go on and try number 7, okay? While the girls are each working on their problems. And good job, Anderson. Thank you for the explanation. It made perfect sense. So just try another problem like that, okay? And how do you girls feel about the problems that I wrote for you guys? Are they too hard, too easy? What do you think?
I think I forgot how to do fractions.
Okay, you forgot some fractions? That's perfectly fine. I'll write you a bit of an easier one. Again, this is why I like writing problems for everybody in a different color. It can be just as hard and easy as you need it. When we all do the same problems, typically like they're too hard for some people, too easy for others. I usually prefer to give everybody their own work. Okay, so here is your new problem, Angelina. There you go. And if my handwriting is ever difficult to read, just let me know. I won't be offended. I know I have messy writing. I can always rewrite it if it's ever too messy.
So I'm just going to start here.
Perfect job,
I'm
Heather.
just going to do an explanation of how I'm doing it.
Okay.
So 34 minus 4. Of course, that's basically 30 because 4 minus 4 is 0 and 3 minus 0 is 3. Then you get 30. Well, that was easy. Well, that one was easy.
So good. Your first step is to get to 30. Then what do you do from there?
I learned that. Then you divide it by 3. And 30 divided by 3. Okay. Now it's going to be going
For
to
the
3.
middle for the second operation, for the second sign, is that divide?
Yeah, that's 45 divided by 9. Okay, so what do we do from there, Anderson? So we're at 30 divided by 3, and then plus 3 squared. What's our next step?
Okay, so now I got number 0.
Mhm.
No remainder and number 10.
Good. So we have 10.
Should have just realized that I don't need to do a division problem for 3 divided by 30 and just write 10.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
easy.
it's good that you're getting so good at long division, but if you can do them in your head, feel free. So our last step, we're at 10 plus 3 squared. So solve out your exponents, please. So what's 3 squared?
3 squared 2. That basically means 3 times 2, right?
No, it means 3 times 3.
Yeah, 3 times 3. That equals 6. So,
Not quite. 3 times 3 is not 6. 3 times 3 is 3.
oh yeah,
6,
right.
9.
I
9.
think I thought that there was addition for a second.
That's okay. We're still learning, so it's okay if you make mistakes. Now our last step is going to be to add those up. So add up 10 plus 9, please, okay?
Basically, I think sometimes I get mixed up with addition and multiplication because of the fact that they're so related.
They are, yeah, they're very similar because multiplication is just skip counting, but yeah, that's okay. Just remember when we multiply, we're skip counting versus when we're adding, we're just adding those two numbers. But like I said, especially considering you're just now learning a lot of this stuff, it's okay to make mistakes. I'd rather have you make mistakes now than make them next year in class, so it's better to do that now.
10 plus 3.
Well, we're doing, so Anderson, our next step is now going to be to do 10 plus 9.
Squared.
So you're going to do 10 plus 9.
It's 13.
It wouldn't. So what's 3 times 3, Anderson?
3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9.
So now we're at 10 plus 9.
See?
Oh, square. Okay. My mistake. I didn't see the square. Okay, you're right. You got it right.
And Angelina, how are you doing with your problem?
I'm doing good.
Okay. After Anderson's done with his, you can explain yours to the class if you'd like. So what's your final answer, Anderson? Good job, 19. Very good. Anderson, do you want to explain to the class how you did that? Doesn't have to be a long explanation, just kind of walk us through your steps.
Okay, so basically how to do it is firstly, if you want to make it easier for yourself and see, but also kind of get into it. If you want to, use PowerDAS more seriously, do this.
Yeah, writing your steps. It's very good to write your steps. Okay.
Yeah, in order. The numbers represent the order from PowerDAS.
Heather, how did you do on your problem? Are you still working on it?
I'm working on the second one.
Okay, take your time.
Okay, so first you minus 34 by 4. Of course, that's 30. 30 divided by 3, that's 10. Then you plus it by plus 10 by 3. But since there's that little pesky 2 there, you have to times 3 by 3, and that's 9. So actually that because of that 2, now you have to do 10 plus 9. But still, that's easy. It's 19.
Good. Okay, Anderson, I wrote you your final problem in red. Okay, and then we're almost out of time actually. So Heather, you're actually good to leave because you finished up You did your 10 problems. So you can leave class because we just finished. I'll just wait for Anderson and Angelina, okay? So very good job
Okay.
today. Good job today, Heather. I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Bye.
I got 52.
Okay. You said your final answer was 52? Perfect. Good job. And now, same with you, Angelina. You're all done for today. Let's just work through this last one together, Anderson, okay? And great job today, Angelina.
Where do we do our homework on?
I'm gonna send you some homework problems because I have to write different problems for all three of you because you're all kind of at different levels. So what I'm gonna do is I have a group chat with your mom for Anderson's class, so I'll send her some problems for each of you, okay?
Mm.
Okay. And like I said, it won't be a lot. It's just to see what you already know for tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
I think you're muted, Anderson. We got to unmute.
So basically, still on my problem. So adding is like fourth step with subtraction. Okay, going to circle that exponent. That little number above the parentheses thing. Yeah. You are the detective and have to guess. What? All right. Now going to circle this parentheses. One. Okay. So 45 divided by 9.
Mhm.
Okay. Now it's going to 9 going to 4. 0. Now it's going to 9 going to 45. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 60.
So we're doing 45 divided by 9 is 5. Now we're going to do 5 squared.
Okay, now you got 45 minus 45, you got 0. So now you have no remainder and a 5.
Now what is 5 squared? So 5 times 5.
5 times 5, okay. Yeah, 5 times 5. 25.
25. So we have 25 plus 6 minus 2. So go from left to right.
Okay, plus 6. Okay. Okay, plus 6, 25 plus 6. Right. 25 plus 6. Okay, 11. 1 plus 2, 3. So now you got 31.
Good job. And now our last step is going to be 31 minus 2.
Yep. That leaves us with 29.
Perfect. Okay, and that is actually, that's all for today. So super good job today. You did so well keeping up with the other students. So good job.
Bye.